Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I'm glad the conversation has kind of dialed back from relitigating the merits of what we had in front of us last night and who supports global health and who supports or who doesn't support making sure that starving children are fed. We do need to be asking ourselves how we move forward as appropriators. And I appreciate your statement, Senator McConnell, about having the ability to advance these measures to the floor. That's what makes us relevant. There's a lot of good work that goes on here. Last night, for me, was very personally frustrating because it was. These were measures that I cared about. Some of you had a different view. But they were matters that we had authorized and appropriated to and had been signed into law. Now we were dealing with them. Senator Schatz, you made one comment that struck me. You said, all we need to do is to kind of help address the challenge that we're facing here as appropriators and not being relevant is we need to find 4 Republican appropriators to basically help out. I would dispute that. I think what we need to find is if there's going to be a rescission that moves forward, it needs to be a rescission that is a bipartisan rescission from the beginning, one where folks in the administration have come to us and have said, do you realize that this is in this measure related to global economic disaster or child nutrition or whatever it may be, to have that conversation, to have that engagement with us, to shape a package that we, not just we as appropriators, but we as members of the Senate who under Article 1 have this authority of the power of the purse to say, you know what, that shouldn't have been in there. And I'm not quite sure who was responsible for it, whether it was Samantha Powers or somebody else, but it shouldn't be in there, and we agree, and there's a process that we can follow that will not divide us into partisan camps, but will actually elevate the work that goes on here in the Senate, in the Congress, when it comes to the power of the purse and appropriations. I will tell you, I am super offended. I'm not frustrated. Apparently that's the word you're supposed to use when you're talking to me. Murkowski is always frustrated about everything. Today, when I see the OMB director say, tell us, challenge us, you guys should be more partisan. What that tells me is there are people who don't want us to be relevant, who don't want us to come together and work through these issues and these problems. And so I'm going to take that as a personal challenge. I'm going to say, no, I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that we are able to do bipartisan initiatives, that we are able to actually make our process work without having the OMB director be the one that is going to, quote, change the paradigm of the way that we do our jobs here. They can have input. That's totally fine. That's totally legit. But we have a trust deficit. That's probably an understatement. But it's up to us to address it in a way that is befitting of the responsibility that we have when it comes to stewards of the taxpayer dollars. So we got our work to do. But to the Merkley amendment, if I may, I'm going to oppose it, Senator Merkley, and I'm going to do so because I want to respect the jurisdiction that comes with the various committees that we have. And this jurisdiction, as the chairman of the Budget Committee has noted, does not lie with us. It lies with the Budget Committee. So I'm going to be pushing you, Lindsay, to make sure that we don't find ourselves in this situation where we are delivered a wholly partisan rescission package, told to take it or leave it, and put us in the same situation, a rerun of what we had last night. That's not good for those of us that have done that, and it's not good for the institution.
Madam Chair. Senator Lisa Murkowski expressed relief that the conversation has shifted away from rehashing disagreements over global health funding. She emphasized the importance of appropriators advancing meaningful measures to maintain their relevance in the legislative process. Murkowski shared her personal frustration with recent legislative outcomes on issues she deeply cares about, but acknowledged that others hold different views. She challenged the idea that simply recruiting a few Republican appropriators would resolve the challenges faced by the appropriations process. Instead, she called for bipartisan engagement from the outset when considering rescissions or funding changes. Murkowski stressed the need for collaboration between the administration and Senate appropriators to develop balanced, nonpartisan packages. The senator strongly rejected suggestions that appropriators should become more partisan, viewing such comments as undermining their relevance and the integrity of the process. She committed herself to fostering bipartisan initiatives and restoring trust in the appropriations process, which she described as currently suffering from a significant trust deficit. Murkowski opposed a particular amendment, citing respect for committee jurisdiction and noting that the Budget Committee holds the authority on such matters. She warned against accepting partisan rescission packages without negotiation, arguing that such approaches harm both the institution and the lawmakers involved. She concluded by reaffirming the responsibility appropriators have as stewards of taxpayer dollars and the need to uphold that responsibility through collaboration and bipartisanship.